Sunday, the Lions get their roster down to 53 players, and this roster's got more real questions than we've seen in years. 2 quarterbacks or 1, all 3, maybe a new guard walking through the door between now and Sunday. Tonight, DBC, Mike, and I break down every Detroit Lions roster bubble that matters, every roster bubble battle that matters, forward down the field.
Down to the 10, Severe to the 5, Severe to the end zone, touchdown Detroit Lions!
Hand off Barry, skirts to the left side, breaks a tackle, and he will take it in, touchdown!
Touchdown Detroit Lions! That's what I'm talking about! It is caught! Touchdown Detroit Lions! Amon-Ra St. Brown! Oh baby, what a play that time! Aiden Hutchinson read that and blew it up! Big time stand by that defense!
All right, Lions Gray Mains family, welcome into Lions Gray Mains. If it's Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, and you're watching us with your earballs and your eyeballs, you happen to be live with us, and we're in all the places. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on X, we're on Substack as well as of recently. All those links and everything are down in the show notes. So if you are there and you've joined us live, jump into the chat. Let us know where you're joining us from. Speaking of joining us from, I happen to be the only member of Lions Gray Mains tonight that is not in the great state of Michigan. My name is Chris Stone. I'm at castahead.net. And the gorgeous gentleman making me look absolutely invisible on my screen. First, to your visual upper right-hand corner, joining us, our Mike, the man who wears the green dot backstage and keeps us all in line, our Mike linebacker, Mike Terry. How we doing today, man?
Doing great. How about you?
Man, you know, there's a little bit of the Mucinex talking, but you never know what you get when Chris has got a little decongestant going on. We're gonna see if things get a little bit spicy. Speaking of spicy, that Mackinac spice in a haunted hotel in Marquette. Is that where we're at today? Do I have that right, Brent?
Yes, sir. Marquette, Michigan.
Marquette, Michigan, in a haunted hotel. So, Lions fans, if you see any ghosts, you know, like you see the ghost of Lions past, you know, going behind Brent at any one given point, you know, let us know. And you know, we'll tap Brent on the shoulder. Donkey Kong Brent is already in. He's ready to go. Brent, are you ready to go tonight, man?
Let's go. Let's roll. It's really great to be here. We've been traveling around, meeting a lot of great Lions fans today. On Mackinac Island, met a lot of folks, Jim and Dave and Doug, and a bunch of them joined up, subscribed, and looking forward to the rest of our trip. We went to Sleeping Bear Dunes a couple days ago, and just taking a road trip, you know, just driving around. The weather was so nice today, almost 80 degrees, jumping in Lake Superior here at the beach, and the water's so clear you can see to the bottom.
You're making me jealous. Listen, man, if you bring back any Petoskey stones, save one for me. We collect them. I actually, in my pool out in back, when we had our pool built, I took Petoskey stones that we got from Lake Michigan, and we had them built into the pool so the kids could go down and swim and find the Petoskey stones. But you guys are making me miss northern Michigan for sure, because you're saying 80 degrees, and here I am in Atlanta, and they say something about cooking eggs on sidewalks, but that's what we do. So glad to have Brent. You're a trooper. We appreciate it. You're like our street team out there. You know, one subscriber at a time out there preaching the good word of Lions Gray Mains and Lions fandom. So, what better way to start? Oh, listen, we can't do this yet without first saying that the other gentleman, the other Gray Mane, is actually not with us tonight. He's on a real vacation. Apparently, like 2 weeks ago, that wasn't a real vacation. This is a real vacation, according to Dan Keener. But he's not with us tonight. That did not keep him from doing the work, including sending us his 53-man roster, which we're going to go through tonight. Each one of us have submitted what we think is going to be our 53-man roster, which of course is probably going to change between now and tomorrow, but this is where it's at right here and right now. And Dan has sent his, so we'll kind of cobble together our thoughts and go sort of not position by position because we agree on a number of positions and we'll just kind of like run through that. But you're going to know kind of what each one of us think in terms of our 53-man roster. And of course, every week when we start the show, we started with the rundown, the latest news, typically with Dan Keener. So shout out, Dan. We miss you, man. And we'll see you next week.
Fuddruckers.
Fuddruckers. Yeah. Let us know how Fuddruckers is.
Yes.
But we're going to start the show with the rundown with DBC.
Well, as most of you know, the Lions rivalry uniforms were rolled out. There were a lot of comments online today about the pros and cons of it.
Were there any pros?
Yeah. I think I saw
Okay.
some. I mean, me personally, I like the Detroit, very clean. I love the fact that they use black with blue highlights, and those helmets that they rolled out last year, love them. So, look, I'm not a guy that likes the traditional Lions uniform with the big fat, lines on the sleeves and the big huge lines on the side of the pants. I like lean and clean. These are very lean and clean for me, but a lot of fans were saying this looks like the Carolina Panthers. And,
well, there are differences. I did see Mike Payton did, shout out to A to Z Sports, did a sort of a breakdown of each difference. Like here's what the Carolina Panthers looks like. Here's what their Detroit rivalry uniforms looks like. And yeah, I know it's a different numeral. It's italicized. It says Detroit, and on the Carolina Panthers, it does not say Carolina. It does not say Panthers. Apparently, the lines are on our shoulders as opposed to on the arms on the Panthers. So those are kind of like the differences. But I mean, it still looks like the Panthers. I'm sorry, like everyone to a man is basically like that looks like the Panthers. I'm sorry. Look at this.
Yeah, love them.
There's somebody named Dan Keener who says, "Where's the chubby guy?" And he does so much better than that Brent guy. Jim,
Isn't he supposed to be on vacation?
We affectionately call him Peter Griffin. For those of you that
he's actually a wayback burger. So get it right,
Not
Brent. It's not Fuddruckers.
Well, he always talks about Fuddruckers.
Outstanding, Dan. Thanks for joining us. He's a great sport. So yeah, rivalry uniforms. Listen, here's what I'm saying. I'm glad they're debuting it against the Vikings game at that game and not against the Panthers. It's I could see Bryce. I made this joke that if we did debut it at the Panthers game, that Bryce Young might be throwing it to the other team. But Dan let us know that it wouldn't matter because he couldn't see over his offensive line in order to throw it to us anyway. So. There is that.
Cade Mays would get confused as well.
Right, exactly. And Wanham. Wanham's also an ex-Panther as well. So I don't know. At least they're only wearing it 1 week. And the helmet's tight. I mean, that helmet is nice. But anyway, Brent, next up we have Jahmyr Gibbs.
As the NFL winds down to number one, another Lion makes the top 100 list, and we've been covering those each week. Jahmyr Gibbs comes in at number 9. Not a surprise. Jahmyr Gibbs is one of the most exciting players in the NFL. And if everybody's predictions come true this year, those of you that play fantasy football better pick him early, and because he's supposed to have a big year. And so Jahmyr Gibbs, number 9. We've had so many players now. 6, I think it's 6 players that were selected in the top 100. And if it weren't for Kerby and Brian Branch's injuries, we probably would have had more. So as we've all talked about, the Lions roster is pretty loaded with great players. Jahmyr Gibbs comes in at the top of that list.
Agree. And I think all of those numbers that we saw from Panay, from Goff, from Saint, all those players. Hutch, all those players, they're going to be higher next year. I think we all agree.
And Aleem McNeil. I think Aleem McNeil is another guy. That, there's just there's so many players that the Lions are stacked with.
100%. This is
all right.
Crazy little graphic here from the Athletic.
This is an interesting one because the players were evaluated by the coaches, the general managers, the executives for the top 25 players under 25. And guess who comes in at number one? So Dan fought the good fight with the ESPN folks about Penei Sewell being snubbed, pounding on him and pounding on him and pounding on him. Well,
Uncle.
Dan was vindicated by the GMs and the executives and the coaches because Penei Sewell was voted the number one overall player under the age of 25. And this is all reported by The Athletic, which I do love. For those of you that don't subscribe to The Athletic, they do a really good job. He was joined by Jahmyr Gibbs 14th, and also Sam Laporta was an honorable mention at 29.
Awesome. Good stuff. And then, of course, a lot of stuff happening over the past couple of days in terms of what's happening with the roster. A couple players went down, Brent, and unfortunately, after the game, after watching the Commanders game and seeing Cedrick Wilson go down, and what Campbell said was that he wasn't confident about it, and sure enough, we've got a couple of guys that hit the IR today.
It certainly doesn't hurt, right? When you're in this position of having to cut some really good football players, this is the time. And look, Dan said it the other day when we were chatting. None of the players that have been injured to this point are more going to be major contributors anyway. So culling the bottom end of the roster, Brad Holmes does a fantastic job of doing that. And so these folks are going to be brought in. The one interesting one to me was Gus Hartwig. There's a lot of rumors around the satisfaction with the offensive line or dissatisfaction with the offensive line. Are they gelling? Are they coming together? Are they going to be able to be better than the Lions started last year in Green Bay in these first couple games? And losing your starting center, it definitely hurts.
Yeah.
And so I think the Lions should continue to evaluate their options. And signing of Gus Hartwig is one of those things that you just never know where you might find a diamond in the rough. Don't know a lot about him. He was at Purdue. Purdue isn't exactly a breeding ground for great offensive linemen in the NFL, but
right.
You never know. You might find a diamond, and hopefully, if he ends up playing well, then he'll get a shot. But I one of the things we took a little bit of heat for this last week was the comments about the offensive line, the dissatisfaction with it.
Yep.
And I'll tell you, reading between the lines is not hard when you have the defense dominated all day and that there was pressure on the quarterbacks all day. And that, so for folks to say that, it's a stretch to believe that the Lions offensive line wasn't struggling. To me, it was like Braille. Follow the breadcrumbs, you let your fingers do the walking, so to speak. And I just don't know how anybody could say that our offensive line is anywhere close to where any of us want it to be. So, for those of you that think that the Lions offensive line is not the reason why Campbell shut down the practice early, then tell me why. Tell me why he did then.
Wow. Okay, man. Sticking by your guns on that, DBC. I love it. And I think it's somewhere in between. I think our defensive line, as proven by watching them play on Saturday against the Commanders, our defensive line may be that good, and I think that's partially the reason why you're getting maybe practice ending early and those kinds of things is because the defensive line is just having their way. There's the Hutch rules that they've instituted, right? Like, that probably was going to be a sack by Hutch, but we're going to let the play go on, right? Because the guy is just absolutely a demon back there. And now you've got Derek Moore, who's showing up and absolutely, like, the tape just jumped out on Derek Moore. So it's exciting to see what's going on there. It's exciting to see what Skylar Gill-Howard is doing to wreck the inside. And I think the defensive line for once in a pretty good while is something to get excited about if you're a Lions fan. And speaking of excited about being a Lions fan, Karen is in the chat. What's up, Karen? Thanks for joining us again. Karen wishes the new uniforms were light silver instead of white, not gray, like ye old sweatpants uniforms, but silver. Yeah, I think there's a lot I wish about these rivalry uniforms. But I don't wish that we wore them more than once. That's the only thing I don't wish on that. But Karen, thanks for joining us. Wanda Rich is in the house. Wanda, you weren't first tonight. I mean, listen, we start every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Wanda, come on. No, I'm kidding. Thanks for joining us, Wanda. And Alex Middleton, we haven't seen you in a while. Thanks for joining up. And yeah, it's pretty much a Panthers uniform like we had discussed earlier for sure. So let's roll into, guys, the conversation about the 53, we can rehash the Commanders game a little bit, because I think a lot of what happened there on Saturday kind of plays into our decisions here on the roster. There was some stuff that happened in practice today. I'm hoping there's nothing serious in terms of injury. I know Whiteside's left practice early. As well as Trevor Nowaski left practice early. I haven't seen any reports other than our friend Justin Rogers letting people know those two things. Didn't seem like it was something serious. I don't know if that affects anything that we have going on. And certainly these players that we've picked up, I mean, it's every day it seems like we're bringing in somebody to work out, at running back, or we're bringing on a new running back, whether it's Roydell Williams or the Chiefs running back. My gosh, my Kareem Hunt. Thank you, Mucinex brain. Just couldn't think of Kareem Hunt that's how memorable Kareem Hunt is for me. But we'll see. And yes, Damone Clark, that's something that's a real bummer to see Damone Clark. I'll be honest though, Karen and Mike and Brent as well. I really wanted to see more of Damone Clark, but I just didn't see anything out of him. And that linebacker room is just so stacked. I think, none of us had him on our roster, even without the injury. So I think it was going to be a difficult haul. We'd at least get him on the practice squad. I don't know the extent of that injury, how long that Damone Clark injury is. Do you guys know? No? Okay.
I don't think anybody knows yet.
Yeah. But that's a bummer. Wanda, we forgive you. We absolutely forgive you. Yes.
That's true.
Yes, rest in peace, Dolly Parton. I will always love you, Dolly Parton, and that's a sad thing. So for those of you who are Dolly Parton fans, I hope that wasn't breaking news for you. But we absolutely love and respect Dolly Parton for sure. All right. Let's make things a little bit more positive and talk about our stacked roster, shall we? And so just to catch everybody up, all the folks who are joining, and listen, everybody, give us your grades on this. If you feel like we've missed somebody, if you think that we should have this quarterback and not that quarterback, or there's a backup running back that we should have over these others, for the most part, I have 40 out of the 53 spots we agree on. So out of the four of us, I was shocked. 40 out of 53, Mike, Brent, Dan, and Chris all agree on, which, folks, you don't know about backs. I mean, sometimes it comes out in the show, but we don't agree on 75% of anything. So we're kind of happy, or at least I am, about that. But here's the rundown. That we've got. These are the players that we have all agreed on will make the 53. Quarterback, Jared Goff. Running back, Jahmyr Gibbs, Isaiah Pacheco, and Jacob Sailors. Fourth running back is a question mark we'll get to. We agreed on 5 wide receivers, and one person has 6 wide receivers. Here are the 5. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, Isaac Tesla, Greg Dortch, and Tay Martin. We all agreed that Tay Martin would be wide receiver 5, which I was kind of surprised there. I thought somebody would try to slip in, Tom Kennedy instead of Tay Martin, but everybody agreed on those 5. So that's solid. Everybody agreed on these 3 tight ends, but some of us have 4 tight ends, and that's going to be another conversation because that'll harken back to the Commanders game and the great game that Jackson Meeks had. But we all agree on 3 tight ends: Sam Laporta, Brock Wright, Tyler Conklin. We all agree on 3 offensive tackles. Some guy named Penei Sewell, Blake Miller, and Larry Borum. Those are what we've got, Borum being the swing tackle. So, and then we've got Now, there will be more tackles, just so you know. These are the ones that we've agreed on. At guard, we agree Christian Mahogany, Tate Rowledge, and Miles Frazier will all make the team. At center, Juice Scruggs and Seth McLaughlin will make the team. At defensive end, this, like across the board, this is the only position where we all agreed on everyone, including the number, which is at defensive end. Aiden Hutchinson, DJ Wanham, Derek Moore, Ahmed Hassanin, and Tyler Lacey. That's nice. I mean, that's nice to see, right? That's a good, solid defensive end group right there. At defensive tackle, Lee McNeil, Tyleik Williams, Skylar Gill-Howard. Linebacker, Jack Campbell, Derek Barnes, and Malcolm Rodriguez. Now, we obviously have way more linebackers that we have slots for, but these are the only three that we agreed on. So that will be a volatile part of the conversation, will be the back end of the linebackers, but those are the three we did agree on. At cornerback, we agreed on DJ Reed, Rock Ya-Sin, Keith Abney, Ennis Rakestraw, Nick Whiteside, Roger McCreary. There's a little bit of a difference there. There's one of us that wants 7 cornerbacks on the team, which is interesting. At safety, the 3 safeties we agreed upon, Avante Maddox, Chuck Clark, Christian Ezine, and then, of course, kicker Jake Bates, punter Jack Fox, and long snapper Hogan Hatton. Sorry. So there we go. We're going to go through these rosters and kind of talk about it. We're going to start at the top, and that's the quarterback position. Guys, the Pastronaut came in, and the MO on Pastronaut is that he's an experienced quarterback, right? He's a guy that is steady. He's going to run the offense. He can move a little bit. He knows Drew Petzing's offense, and then he came in. Now, I'm not going to blame him for the fumble touchdown against the Commanders. But that interception was pitiful. That looked like a rookie, and he's not a rookie. That, like if you were to ask me who made that throw, it was him or Altmyer, I would have said Altmyer because Altmyer's a undrafted rookie. But that was Dobbs. That said, everybody for the most part has Josh Dobbs as their backup quarterback, with the exception of Brent. Brent has Luke Altmyer as his backup. And Mike wants both of them. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to check off Jared Goff as this. DBC, talk to me why you want Luke Altmyer as our backup quarterback for the Detroit Lions.
Well, let's go first with, I think the Lions can pull a slick one here. I think that there's going to be, inevitably injuries happen, and you're going to have players that you can put on the practice squad. I don't think Luke Altmyer, based on the reputation that he's earning, is going to survive the cutting him and signing him back to the practice squad. I have my suspicions that there's a couple teams that would love to pick him up, and so the reality is, Joshua Dobbs had all offseason to sign with somebody. He had tons of opportunities. He signed for, really low salary, veterans minimum salary level. And I just think that we could sign Dobbs at any time, much like we could the 6 or 8 other free agent quarterbacks that are still out there. And I just believe that I'm not willing to risk a kid who many have compared to Brock Purdy at this point, saying that he has this presence, he has these abilities. He's got the moxie of a seasoned player. And so I think Brad Holmes is smart enough to know that if they're going to cut him, I think he gets picked up by somebody else. And I think that Joshua Dobbs is replaceable and or re-signable.
Do you want to know the percentage chance that players get picked up before they when they clear waivers and make it onto the other team's practice squad?
I think it's about 0.06.
It's more than that. It's less than 4%. So there's a less than 4% chance that Luke Altmyer will get taken by another team.
Mm-hmm.
Less than 4%. So Mike, I'll roll it to you. You want both these guys. Is there any merit to it? Dan had brought this up earlier, and I had thought about this as well. And given to what Brent said here, you think the Lions will cut both of them and do a handshake with Dobbs and bring him back, or what's your logic with keeping both of them?
So first of all, Luke Altmyer's not going to be your backup quarterback going into 2026. It's going to be Dobbs. He's a veteran. He replaced Teddy Bridgewater. If Goff were to go down, hopefully that never happens. Dobbs could come in and run the offense probably at least 75% better than Luke Altmyer could coming in. However, like Brent just said, I don't think they're going to be able to stash him on the practice squad. There was reports that several teams were trying to get him after the draft. And in fact, the Lions they called him, the first person they called after the draft was Altmyer. And they were moved quick to get him. I was just reading that Tom Pelissero reported several teams wanted Altmyer and the Lions beat him to it. So I don't think if they cut him and then try to stash him on the practice squad, it just isn't going to happen based on that. And so that's my reasoning. I want the kid. I think he's got potential maybe 2 years down the road. I mean, everybody in Detroit or connected to Detroit Lions, they're always saying, hey, we got to pick up a young guy and put him on, that we can develop. This is the guy we can develop. He can move a little bit with his legs. He got a decent arm. And he's smart. So I think this is the guy we keep to develop and see what happens. Dobbs is there as a stopgap. He's there if Goff goes down this year. That's my reasoning for keeping both of them on the squad.
All right.
Let me just throw in there just to quibble a little bit. How many games has Goff missed in his career?
Very few.
A few.
Yeah,
very few when
few.
he's with the Rams. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, for us, incredibly very few. He's been solid.
Yeah, one game, right? So here's the reality that if Goff were to go down, the Lions would be in a dire situation anyway. I think that's the reality of most teams who have superstar quarterbacks. I think Luke Altmyer, he's a 70% completion percentage in the preseason, 9 of 13 passing, 86 yards. He's got a lot to learn. And I think Mike was sort of agreeing and disagreeing at the same time, because he said, on one hand, he thinks that somehow Dobbs would do 75% better. I just don't see it. I'm not really impressed by Dobbs so far to this point. He's still learning the system. He's 58.3 passer rating, an interception. He's I mean, look, we're talking about levels of mediocrity here.
He's been with the team for a week.
Right. He was with the team for 10 days. 10 days. He was a veteran, but he's he's with the team for 10 days. Let me ask you this, Brent. If Jared Goff goes down, and let's just say it's an injury that's not season ending, right? He might be out 4 weeks. Who do you trust starting against the Minnesota Vikings defense? Josh Dobbs or Luke Altmyer?
Well, I don't really have high confidence in either of them at this point.
That's who we got. we got to pick one. I don't have super high confidence in either, but for me, I'd rather have the veteran who's seen that defense, even played on that team, right? And has been out there and seen the bullets fly, as opposed to undrafted rookie who's done some nice things, right, in preseason against guys that sometimes aren't going to make the team, right? So against some vanilla defenses. That's just where I land. And listen, Teddy Bridgewater was this team's backup quarterback until he retired, and Josh Dobbs is, I would say a slight tick above Teddy Bridgewater in terms of talent. I may trust Teddy more, but I just feel like he's just, so that's where it comes down to. I like Altmyer too. I don't have fear of him going to another team. I think he's going to clear waivers, and I think Luke Altmyer is on our practice squad. That's just that's how I feel. I'm willing to roll the dice.
It's what's going to happen, I think. But I'm telling you, I would much rather keep the young kid than a veteran who's mediocre veteran.
You want to start Luke Altmyer against the Vikings?
if it comes to Goff being out,
right.
you pick up somebody, you pick up Dobbs, I mean, that happens in the NFL every year.
Well, then okay. So you're saying bring Altmyer in and then just leave Dobbs out there, just grab him when we can, like just sit on your couch and stay by the phone. That's your thinking. Okay.
Yep. And we're going to have injuries in the first couple of weeks. It always happens. But the veteran is not always the best option. I hear you, but anyway, the Lions are going to have to make some difficult decisions if they do keep them both, because there's people right on the borderline.
Yeah, Karen, this is the point for Dobbs that I'm making, and I would say, and Karen says, since QB2 is often sounding board an additional set of eyes on the sideline, I'd rather have Josh Dobbs. Yeah, because Luke Altmyer is not seeing stuff that Josh Dobbs has seen, and I mean, Goff is Goff is who he is, and we think he's great quarterback, but he's always can have another set of eyes that you trust. The other side of the coin is, when have the Lions developed a quarterback, right? And it's always something that we feel like we have yet to really do. I mean, name guys that we've brought on this. I mean, Hendon Hooker, David Blau. There's been quarterbacks all. Mike McMahon. How about that one? Huh? Mike McMahon, the pride of Rutgers. There's a lot of quarterbacks that we've tried to bring on this team and develop.
Kellen Moore.
Yes, Kellen Moore, who's now a coach.
Charlie Batch.
Yeah. Alex says,
it's the old the favorite saying in Detroit. Who's the two favorite players in Detroit?
Backup goalie.
The Lions backup quarterback and the goalie for the Red Wings.
All right, so I don't know if we're going to decide here. I think a lot of people in chat are saying Dobbs. I think that's probably what's going to happen. Just for sake of moving on to the next position, we're gonna click Dobbs. Brent, I'm sorry, you're a little bit on an island, but I do understand. I do understand what
that
you're
happens
saying.
Often.
He's close
that
to
happens
an island.
often.
All right, running back position. Somebody named Jahmyr Gibbs is obviously, we already have these three as locks. All right, so this is another one, the fourth running back position. Now, things got a little bit muddier, I think. Obviously, Roydo Williams was brought in. I don't think, unless Roydo Williams lights it up in practice and somehow does something amazing in the third preseason game against the Colts, I don't see Roydo Williams making it. Unfortunately, Raheem Blackshear is going to be on IR. Jabari Small, I don't know. I think maybe he goes to the practice squad. I mean, obviously he's hurt, so I don't think it's IR to return at this point. That's not really an option for me. So it really comes down to two running backs for RB4. This is something that Lions fans are really, really all over the place about. Sione Vaki has yet, although he did practice today, had tons of running back reps from what I understand. He's known as this special teams demon, and that means something to the coaching staff, and that's the reason why I put Sione Vaki in here as my RB4. However, I would like to have Travion Williams as my RB4. That's what I would like to have happen. Kind of like Brent when you chose Luke Altmyer. I think Travion Williams had an outstanding game, not just because he was going against maybe backups on the Commanders. That looks like a really good run. That looks like Craig Reynolds to me. He's got great vision. Runs low behind his pads. Looks like a really good running back, a really good backup running back for us to have. Vaki, unfortunately, fortunately for him, he plays a ton of special teams and they love him there. So that's why I have Sione Vaki on there. Mike Terry, the man who wears the green dot but is out front today. You had the guts to select Travion Williams as your fourth running back. Talk to me about your thoughts there.
Well, my thoughts are I've seen Travion Williams perform as a running back for the Detroit Lions.
There you go.
I have not seen Sione Vaki perform as a running back for the Detroit Lions.
Wow.
That's why. And I liked what Williams did. He looked really good. He absolutely reminded me of Craig Reynolds. And I would actually would rather have Craig Reynolds, to be honest with you. I was kind of sad to see him go.
Yeah, he was making
Yeah, he
plays for
played
the other
against
team.
Yep. I like Craig Reynolds, but hey, that's why I picked Williams. You've actually seen him run the ball and be successful running the ball. I understand all the special team stuff, and you got to have special team players. But I mean, how many times is a special team player going to impact a game? 4 or 5 times a game, maybe. Travion Williams could impact the game every time he gets a touch. I mean, he's not Jahmyr Gibbs or anything like that by any stretch of the imagination, but
right. He's not even David Montgomery.
Solid.
He's not even David Montgomery.
No,
right. Yeah.
No, not at all. But
I love it. You're exactly. That's exactly what I was saying. But I didn't have the guts to click on it. Mike, you did. The other thing Vaki's got going for him, he was a draft pick by Holmes, and Holmes does not, especially he made some moves to get that guy too, right? And he gave up a pick or two to move up. Am I right? Was he 3rd round? I think
you are. I think it's 5th round. He moved up.
Yeah. And this is one of those little projects.
Riddle me this.
Riddle me. It's time to riddle him.
Yeah, it's time to riddle. So Vaki is a special teams ace. Travion Williams in 8 seasons has no touchdowns. Why?
How many does Vaki have?
Vaki's only in his 3rd year, 4th year.
Okay.
And Vaki is a special teams ace. And what are the chances that the 3rd running back's going to get a lot of PT?
Like be
Listen, I'm the one that
He's
said
4th.
a few weeks ago, Mike, that Vaki was an injury waiting to happen. He gets injured every season, and it's really frustrating for me.
Exactly.
And I wanted to pick Travion. But I just couldn't because of Travion Williams. He's new to the team. We might try to pick him up on the practice squad, but
is he eligible for the practice squad?
I'm not a Vaki fan.
Yeah, so Karen said Dan Campbell I remember this was an oppressor a few weeks ago, said Vaki's one of the best special teams players in the NFL, so obviously they know something we don't. Yeah, I think Karen, this is a great point, is that we sit here and we talk about how we know ball and, but we're not in every practice. The coaches are, the players are, right? We're trying to read minds here. This somebody named Dan Keener says, does Williams play special teams? I think he
does now.
Yeah. So Mike, you're outnumbered here. But
I am. But you know what? The whole special teams thing is.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's a determining factor, to be honest with you. He's a running back. He's there to run the ball.
All right.
I mean, but then again, how often is he going to run it as the number 4 running back?
The answer is he does kick returns and plays special teams.
All right. So, folks, here's what we have agreed upon. We're going to move on. Sione Vaki is what we're going to lock in at RB4. Sorry, Mike. Stand down. Stand down.
He didn't say he was sorry when he voted against me.
Yeah, don't be sorry, be better. All right. Here we go. Here's what we got. Here's what we have agreed upon for wide receiver. Somebody named Amon-Ra St. Brown.
He's okay.
Jameson Williams, Isaac Tesla, Greg Dortch, and Tay Martin. So those are the 5 that we've agreed upon. Am I missing somebody here? No. Those are the 5 that we've agreed upon. But here's our difference that we have. Dan said these 5 were wide receivers only. I said 5 wide receivers only. Mike Terry actually has Tom Kennedy as his wide receiver, and so does Brent Kreider. So, gentlemen, I'll let you talk about why you feel like Tom Kennedy should be on the 53-man roster as a wide receiver.
Mike, go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. Tom Kennedy has been with this team, 4 years now, maybe 5. He was here when him whose name shall not be mentioned was here. He's solid. He performs every time he's called up. He catches the ball. He can return the ball. He can return punts. He can return kicks. He can play special teams, which is obviously the biggest consideration of all. I joke about that. I just think he's a solid number 6. And, like you said, we're going to have injuries at some point in time. You can actually come in. Goff's worked with him in the past. He relies on him. He knows he can do what he needs him to do. I think he's a solid number 6 choice. And with Kendrick Law being out, we need someone like that.
Amen. So, so the reality about Tom Kennedy is diversity. And when you're talking about the number sixth receiver versus, and as we were just talking about, do you keep a third quarterback? Do you keep a 7th cornerback? Do you keep, 6th this position or that position? Tom Kennedy's versatility and your ability to plug him in. Remember, the NFL has 3 phases: offense, defense, and special teams. And the teams that are typically really good have as good a special teams as they do in offense and defense.
Okay.
And Tom Kennedy is a really, really good teammate, team member, and he has a lot of things that he can do for the Lions. He had a couple huge catches last year.
Yep,
Receivers are beat up, dinged up. In games, he steps in, he knows the offense, he runs good routes, he's got decent hands, really good hands. So I think that, just him knowing the system, he was a lot like Skipper was the last few years.
Yep.
Just somebody that came in and played a lot of different roles for the Lions.
I just feel like Tom Kennedy, and listen, for all of those reasons you guys just very eloquently put out there, I love Tom Kennedy as well. And Karen says death taxes and TK85. That is true. But I think Dan makes a good point, and here's one of the reasons why I kept Tom Kennedy off the 53, because I feel like Tom Kennedy's still eligible for practice squad. I don't think somebody's going to come in and swipe Tom Kennedy from us, and I think we can, when we need him for particular games, we can activate him, pull him up, and just kind of like work like we have been working with him. And Dan's point here is a 7th, a cornerback may be needed more than a 6th wide receiver. Kennedy will go on practice squad and can be elevated. Exactly what we're saying here. And so,
well, I mean, couldn't the reverse hold true as well? Put a cornerback on practice squad and call him up when you need. I mean, we won't need a 7th quarterback week 1.
Well, that's my argument with Khalil Dorsey. So he's got Khalil Dorsey. So we're gonna get to cornerback because we can bring that. We're gonna dig up that corpse when we get to the DBs for sure on that one, Mike. But Xander says there's 100% chance Kennedy makes the cut. Dan loves the guy. He can slide it to any position. Ultimate safety blanket. Listen, he's a fan favorite. We all have seen him. He's absolutely like a. I don't know, preseason legend. Like if we had a preseason Mount Silver Rushmore, Tom Kennedy would be number 1 on that, right? Donkey Kong says there will be 5 wide receivers and 4 tight ends. Meeks will be tight end 4 with that big wide receiver versatility. So there we go. Now we're going to move to tight end. Donkey Kong reading our notes and doing the segues for us. What is up? I love that. All right, let's move on. I put Kennedy on there for now. All right, so we put Kennedy on here for now just to have a little fun. Here's the agreed tight ends: Sam Laporta, Tyler Conklin, Brock Wright, trade candidate. And here is what, if we look at our projections here, Dan, myself, and Brent have Jackson Meeks as our 4th tight end. We even have Donkey Kong behind us in the chat. Mike, you have us cutting Jackson Meeks. So anything you want to touch on there? Why do you think we should cut Jackson Meeks, especially after the fumble, the forced fumble he made on that kickoff that pretty much sealed the game for us on Saturday?
Yeah, I just think, you've got the 3 proven veterans, right? Laporta and Conklin, and Laporta came back to practice today, so that's pretty important.
Yeah.
Meeks can be stashed on a practice squad. I did a lot of mine based, I didn't go do the return IR and all that stuff, but in the back of my head, Meeks could go to the practice squad, and then, Wright doesn't have the greatest, he gets injured from time to time. Laporta gets injured from time to time. We could pull Meeks up and fill a third role. I just think 3 tight ends is adequate at the moment. And yes, I know Pat Cigarette likes to run multiple tight ends and everything, but I just don't know that he's at the level of those 3 guys. And I think I may have filled in a linebacker instead of Meeks.
Yeah. Linebackers, boy, that's going to, lock in everybody. This is the linebacker conversation is going to be intense. Alex
I
says,
like Meeks.
Yeah.
I like him. I just think they can put him on practice squad for now. He's not going to take time away from either of those three.
Yeah, this is a good point here by Alex that they may have moved him to tight end because they like him so much and they want to find a reason to keep him, and this was the way to do it. So that's a great point. Dan says that I'm guessing he's talking about Tom Kennedy here, where he says he's a vested vet, not subject to waivers. I'm guessing that's what he's meaning there. Karen saying Brock Wright's another one the team values a lot more than the fans do.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the little things, guys. This is when we get down to the 53 and we look at it and we go, my God, why is this player on here? And we're going to be talking about some of these offensive linemen. It comes down to a lot of these guys who are doing the things that the coaches are seeing, the little things. And a lot of Kareem Hunt talk. If the Lions sign Hunt, does that mean Vaki will go to the practice squad? Or he's not getting cut. Sione Vaki is not going to get cut. I don't see that happening. I think they're kicking a lot of tires here, and Kareem Hunt, is one of those guys that might be able to play. I don't think he's under 4 yards his past couple of seasons. That one seems a little random to me. Just the no turds policy that we've got for one, and it's just, to me, it just kind of seems a little random that we would talk to Kareem Hunt. I know he's a name, but hasn't really done much. To be honest, in a couple of years. I actually like Travion Williams a little bit better in terms of, what we could do there. All right, so back to this. We're gonna lock in these four tight ends. And Mike, I think your point is made on Meeks, but I do think they like him a lot. So he'll be a fourth tight end. Well, we can't keep all of them, unfortunately. All right, offensive tackle, Blake Miller, Borum, and Sewell. These are the three that we agreed upon. Tackle's a little interesting. Three of us said we're keeping just those three, and Mike, you've got Colby Sorsdal as a fourth tackle. Anything you want to...
Maybe that's who I put in instead of Meeks. We've had so many injuries on the offensive line in the last couple of years.
Yep.
I just think it's safe to have someone on the roster to have, at least we know Borum's a swing tackle. It's just a security blanket for me is all it is in the event that something were to happen. That's all. That's the only reason I picked him. Plus he's been on the team. I believe he's a Brad Holmes guy, and he likes to keep his guys. So I think, that might bode well for him. But going with three is playing with fire, I think.
Well, we do have a few that can do...
Scruggs and a few others can do, Miles Frazier and those guys, yes.
Yeah, I think they're going to be counting on that. All right, let's move to guard here in the interest of time. Today, Ben Bartch practiced with the second team. So that was promising. So he's back at practice. And so looking who we had at guard, Mahogany, Ratledge, and Frazier. And then when we look at the fourth guard, Dan and I say we keep them, and you guys say we stick with three guards and cut Ben Bartch. So let's talk about it, guys. Brent, you haven't spoken in a while. I don't know if there's a ghost there in your room or not, and you're just too scared to talk, but talk to me why you only want to keep three guards and cut Ben Bartch.
Bartch hasn't really proven anything yet. He had a good block today downfield. They were talking about how he blew Devin White up at practice. But I think Bartch, he's still coming back from the injured foot. And as we've talked about in past weeks, he's never had a full season. He's always injured. And so I think he's a guy that we end up stashing on the IR to return. I think his foot is going to flare up again. Like he came out on the practice field and he was suddenly gone for a few more days and then came back and forth. I think he's going to be a guy that we have an opportunity to stash on the injured list and keep him, kind of warm in case anything happens to our guards.
Yeah,
Agree
Mike,
100%.
Mike, to
Same
your
thought.
point here early, Charles McLean. Charles, I don't know if I've seen you here before. Welcome to the show. I think we keep an extra guard than a tackle because I think Tate will be backup center behind Scruggs, and I think Neese is a cut candidate. Agree there. I think this is where that versatility comes in. You know, Ratledge getting reps at center last week. Just not a ton, but like, can he do it? Right. And I think in a pinch, somebody goes down, they want to be able to make sure that they've got somebody capable, backing them up. And, you know, looking at the all 22s and watching through that preseason game, these backups that we've got currently are, I mean, Melvin Priestley and Mason Miller had just awful games. I mean, it's just, they were, it was really, every time I'm looking up, I'm seeing 63 and 74. Like, who's 74? Oh, that's Melvin Priestley. They were just, and of course, you know, the drinking game was TJ Lang saying communication, right? So if you were listening to the broadcast, there was a lot of that, the communication. And so a lot of that comes with, you know, I mean, is Fraley working with these guys enough? Do they have enough reps together? Which has me, you know, almost worried as far as, you know, the starting five. And we're talking about backups here. So I'm not freaking out, you know, we're not walking back from the ledge. You know, if you know, Mason Miller's our fourth guard on this team, I'm not going to completely freak out, but I mean, he could be starting a game if he's there. So we'll see. Yeah. So Charles is in Gatlinburg. Oh, Gatlinburg. Okay, that's all right. Nice. East Tennessee. Coaching career brought me here, but I am a Lions fan. Detroit is my hometown. Awesome, Charles. Welcome in, and be sure to say hey in the chat. Be sure to say hey to Charles, and don't say hey to this guy, Dan Keener. He's in the chat. He says Bartch was in concussion protocol, not foot related. Yeah, because I think Bartch had that. Liz Frank was the injury with him. All right, so center we know. Cade's going to be that IR to return, right? So that's not going to count against our 53. I think we all agree Juice Scruggs will be at center and Seth McLaughlin being the backup center. I know Hartwig was just brought in, but at this point, you know, we just can't. You know, if something were to happen to Juice Scruggs week one or before Cade was ready to come back in at center, I think, you know, you need that backup center. Seth McLaughlin, another guy, did not have a great game. And that was, you know, well reported. And we all watched that game as well. So I don't think there's anything to discuss here on center, guys. Do you feel like? All right. Here's one that's going to be
options.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Not a lot of options unless the kid that we just signed suddenly becomes something that he hasn't demonstrated previously. So
yeah. Here's one that we're all going to agree on, and boy, I hated not keeping Eric O'Neill on here. Is defensive end. Yeah. I mean, I really wanted Anthony Lucas to be better than what we saw, but we've agreed here on the following five defensive ends: Ahmed Hassadine, Aiden Hutchinson, DJ Wanham, Derek Moore, and Tyler Lacey. Boy, for me, I feel like Eric O'Neill's going to make it to the practice squad. I really love the way he plays. They love him too. I just feel like he almost needs to put on a good 25 pounds of muscle, right? But he feels like just a real pass rush specialist, a la Ahmed Hassanine. And so it's one of those things where, like, you got two Hassanines, you know, which one are you going with? I think we all agree on that. Wanted to give a shout out to Rocked On Detroit Lions, who's in the chat, first timer. Welcome in. He's killing time in Costco. Do you have us up on the big screen? You know, go into Costco and dial in your YouTube account and put us up on the big screen, man. We're trying to make fans over here, Rock. No, I'm kidding. The IR to return should be Cade Mays and Jimmy Roller. Yep, we agree there. Only 2 slots for roster cuts unless you keep Roller on the 53. The Clark injury might have opened that option.
If I might say something about the defensive ends. I mean,
yeah,
so
please.
Now, if you look back at it, it's going to be fun to see them just rotate these guys in and out of the game. Before, it was mostly Aiden Hutchinson playing, 90-something% of the snaps. I mean, they can roll these guys in and just keep them fresh, and it should be fun to watch them this year do that, I think. it's been a drastic improvement over the last couple of years, I think.
Yeah. Brent, do you feel like the Commanders game was indicative of how the rush is going to be? Is that the kind of relentless rush that we're going to see this season? Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, we started off today's show, right, talking about the defense and how they really played well against the Lions offense. The truth of the matter is that we have a very deep defensive line. They're a really, really good group. And if we can stay healthy up front, the Lions, the sky's the limit.
Yep.
Because of their ability to stop the run. Sorry about that. I got the crud that Chris has too. But so we have a very deep defensive front. Again, I agree with you, Chris. O'Neal would be great to keep on the roster, but you'd have to, do something crazy like keep no backup quarterbacks or something other, to be able to keep O'Neal. Can we get, is he one of those 4% guys that gets picked up on a roster?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I just don't. Listen, like I said, less than 4% chance, and you're going to have to roll some dice here. It's pretty rare that happens. All right, so let's roll because I know that Charles has a comment here about Levi, so we're going to move to the defensive tackle position. Now, this one, holy smokes, folks, this is all over the place. The players we absolutely agree upon. Obviously, Aleem McNeil, Skylar Gill-Howard, Tyleik Williams. I think those are the only 3 defensive tackles that we agreed upon, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, those are the only 3 that we have agreed upon. I actually have Levi Onwuzurike because of the versatility. He still is. He's looking good. I thought he looked good. He played well in the Commanders game. I thought he played well. And then, believe it or not, I have our old friend who always ends up being inactive for every game, Mekhi Wingo. As this is who I have as our starting defensive tackle. And I know I don't love it. I just didn't love it. I wanted another guy, but I just couldn't go. I know Ben, is it Steely? Is that how we say his last name? Or Stilly?
Still, yeah.
Still. So I'm going to uncheck Mekhi Wingo, and Mike, you have Tyree West making the 53, which I haven't seen or heard about Tyree. I mean, Tyree West is a ghost to me. And Brent, you have Ben Still. Try to talk me into keeping Tyree West and or Ben Still at this point, guys.
Since Mike went first last time, I'll go ahead and jump in.
All right, do it.
But I also have Levi Onwuzurike. I think he has played really well in the preseason. It seems like the defensive front is better when Levi is playing and he's very physical. But it's a big risk cutting anybody to keep Levi Onwuzurike, given his injury history. So I'm with you, Chris, on the Levi Onwuzurike. But we do agree that it could go south for us at any time. Ben Still, I just got a feeling he's a grinder. He is a guy that the Lions like, and coming out of Nebraska, he's one of those players that I'm seeing more people thinking that he's going to make the roster than what I thought when I picked him. Couple folks have been forecasting that he makes the roster. I was torn because I think Tyree West has played well, but I just went with Ben Still because I think the upside for him is greater than Tyree West is. It's almost a coin flip though.
Mike.
Well, okay. On the other side of that, so we've seen Mekhi Wingo be on this team for the last 2 years and never play.
Right.
I think it might be time for him to say goodbye and bring in a new Brad Holmes candidate, draft pick Tyree West. Either that or they're going to try and stash him on the practice squad, but he's got the tools and he's got the ability. It's just a matter of if he can translate that over to the NFL. And I just think it's a matter of cutting ties with Mekhi Wingo and bringing in a new blood.
Yeah, I'm on Mike's side against you, Chris, in terms of Makai Wingo. I just it's time to move on from him. Failed experiment. I think still or West. It's one of those things where you can bring him up to the active roster up 3 times, and then the fourth time I think you have to keep him. Dan's probably pounding that burger down. If he remembers, he can jump in and
Dan wants Chris Smith. Dan wants Chris Smith on the team as the fourth DT.
Well, Dan doesn't get what he wants.
We didn't even get to him, right? But look,
Right. Hey.
Youth, somebody is going to have caught the Lions' eye. It's going to be a combination of Still West or Chris Smith. And look, having had the problems against the run, and it starts up front. When we lost Levi, we suddenly became very poor against the run. And I'm happy Tyleek is going to take a step up. His mobility's improved with the weight loss. Ali McNeil, Skylar Gill-Howard is a lock.
Yeah,
I mean he's a lock. He's been just a wrecking crew.
Yeah, Marcus chimed in on Skylar Gill-Howard. Pleasant surprise. One of those players that can raise our ceiling. He played with Bailey, so he's familiar with playing alongside an elite defensive end like Hutch. I think he's our best defensive end. So that's a defensive tackle is what he meant there. Yeah, I think that's a great point. I mean, he played alongside of Bailey at Texas Tech, so he knows how to do that. And I just love watching Skylar Gill-Howard. I mean, there's no question he makes the team. He's a bit of a specialist, right? I don't think he's certainly not a 4-down guy, necessarily, but he got narrow on some plays and really wrecked the pocket a couple of times that, allowed for one Wanham sack and certainly a number of pressures. And the dude can just move for a big guy. So
did you see his critique of himself, Chris? He actually said, I feel very good on the pass rush. I feel quick. I'm able to maneuver. He said, I need to get better against the run. I need to be able to get better at that gap responsibility, holding that gap. And so, I mean, it was great to see a young kid like that with that kind of recognition of what's going on and knowing that if he's going to get more than just situational playing time, because you did say, he's going to be a situational player. He knows in order to get on the field more, he's going to have to become a better run stuffer.
Love it. Absolutely love it. All right, so we're going to move on to linebacker. We all agree Derek Barnes, Devin White, Jack Campbell, and Malcolm Rodriguez, and that's where things get a little nutty. Obviously, Damone Clark is out. I don't think Ogbongbemiga is going to happen. I think they're going to want to get Eric Hunter's gotten plenty of time. I think they like him, but I think he's practice squad for sure. I think Rolder's going to be that IR to return. Still working out on the sidelines. So I just don't, and they haven't had enough. He hasn't had enough real reps yet. So I think like he's a candidate for an IR to return as discussed earlier. And then, guys, this is where things, I think Reeder was a guy that Dan wanted. They brought in Reeder again, special teams, right? Special teams demon. Here we go. So that's Reeder. And then, Bocce, I think Bocce's getting some playing time, but I feel like it's stacked up against him. And they really do love Nowaski. I don't know the extent of Nowaski's injury from practice today. Could be nothing, for all I know. But I had Nowaski in here as well. Guys, how are you feeling about the linebacker position? Mike?
I love it. There's depth. There's players there. You got Campbell, obviously all-pro, probably best linebacker in the NFL, if not top 5. Devin White looks like he's reinvigorated now. He's looking like the Devin White of this 3 years ago in the Super Bowl where he's everywhere. I love it, and Derek Barnes has got the speed. He brings the speed, and Malcolm Rodriguez is, he personifies the Lions. He plays as hard as he can every play. He's got grit. He's got a little bit of skill too, so he's not just out there, grinding. I like it, and you can add Reeder, you can add Nowaski. I think they're both pretty interchangeable. I like the linebacker core.
Yeah, I think that Lions are in a good position. The I don't think Hunter makes the 53. Donkey Kong, sorry about that. I think it's going to be Campbell, White, Malcolm Rodriguez, Barnes, and then Rolder will be some combination of either on the active roster because they're not going to cut him.
No.
So he's either going to be on the injured to return designation or he'll be on the active roster. He's back, working out again. And I do think that the Lions they'll sign the young kid to the practice squad. And look, the linebacking group with Campbell and Devin White playing like he's playing, guys, has the potential to be better than last year. And I was the guy. I really wanted the Lions to re-sign the flowing mane, Anzalone. Yeah, Thor. But you got Devin White on a 1.4 million. He's not even on the top 53 salaries on the Lions roster, and he has the potential. He's always been a run stuffing demon. He'll make 150 tackles this year probably. He struggles against the pass, and so if he can be reinvigorated and rejuvenated and start to play the pass, but don't discount Dan. He pointed this out. Malcolm Rodriguez today. They said Malcolm Rodriguez is chomping at the bit, and whether he's 1A, 1B at that position, Malcolm wants to compete, and
he needs to. Good. That's why. Listen, Devin White, in my opinion, was the pickup of the offseason for us. That guy. I mean, that guy is, man. You just see him out there, but he knows what he's doing. He's making tackles. I understand he's not perfect, but man, when you see him out there and he's out there with Captain Jack, I mean, that's pretty stout linebacker in a nickel. And so, yeah, Rockdon says, spot on. SGH is way ahead for being so young. His path got him here. His intelligence led the way. Yeah, I love the story of Skylar Gill Howard and how I think it was his grandfather had a Lions hat. It was the only hat that they had after he was picked, and gave him and said, this is fate. Dan says, we'll be even better. Shep not showing everything in the preseason. Yeah, exactly. And Dan, it's a lot for me to bring on your chat onto screen with that logo, that avatar you've got, man. This is like, I know he loves seeing that scarlet and gray up on the screen. And it's just, yeah, I don't know. I was sick before I started the show. Now, man. All right, let's
just make sure we say Jimmy Rolder as many times
as
we can.
Yes.
Not only because of that, but it helps the algorithm, right?
Well, Dan knows. Once they put on a Honolulu blue and silver, it doesn't matter where they played in college. And I mean, look at that defense and our Derek Moore, Aiden Hutchinson, soon to be Jimmy Rolder, but in the middle, Tyleek Williams. So. At this point, those guys are, as long as they're wrecking the other team, I don't care where they played at college. So, guys, let's roll into the DBs in the interest of time. This is a position we all pretty much agree on, with the exception of Dan. Let me just tell you this. Here's our 6, DJ Reed and Rock Ya-Sin. I think we probably feel like those are going to be the starting outside cornerbacks. And then Roger McCreary, who has proven, I think initially everybody was talking about how mid Roger McCreary was early on in camp, but boy, he's really come a ways, as well as Christian Izzian, at the safety position as well, being both those guys being really, really versatile. Keith Abney, I think there's some issues there. He looked like a rookie a few times in the Commanders game, got a little handsy. But at the same time, you could see the talent as well. So good to have a guy there that's versatile as well. Ennis Rakestraw we have making this team, as polarizing as that player is, a healthy Ennis Rakestraw absolutely makes this team. I think we all agree there. Nick Whiteside, would love to see him make this team. Had an injury today, but it wasn't, as far as I know, it wasn't anything serious. And so that's who we have. But Dan wants a 7th cornerback, and he wants Khalil Dorsey. Now, I'm not going to, Dan's not here to defend himself. He's in the chat. No, Dan, I'm not putting that Ohio State logo on. No, I'm kidding. He wants Khalil Dorsey and thinks that 7 DBs. Now, Khalil Dorsey has not just been great at special teams. He has played plenty of cornerback for this team. Now, he's not, DJ Reed. I mean, he's not even, like I said, he's not even Nick Whiteside, really. But he can play a cornerback, but he's really just about that, about the special team stuff. I just feel like there's not enough spots for him. I mean, he's not going to go anywhere. We stick him in the practice squad. Maybe somebody gets hurt. We can pull him up, that whole thing, situationally. But I just wanted to make mention, Dan wanted to have 7 cornerbacks, and that would be Khalil Dorsey as his 7th. The pride of Northern Arizona.
I wanted to try and keep Khalil Dorsey on my list. He just run out of numbers at some point, right?
Yeah.
And trust me, I recognize Khalil Dorsey's playmaking, his versatility, the ability to play multiple positions. And if there's a way to keep him, I'm with Dan. Keep him there.
All right, really, really quickly. We know our punter, our long snapper, and our kicker. All right, so at safety, I think we all agree that Kerby and Bartch stay on PUP. That was collectively, actually, one of us, if I'm not mistaken. No. Okay, that's right. Yeah, so it's really just Thomas Harper that was kind of the question mark here. We all think Avante, Zine, Chuck Clark are in for safety, and then Bartch and Joseph staying on PUP, and then the question here is Thomas Harper. Now Harper, I guess, got hurt as well today, from what I understand. Any thoughts
not a
here,
bad
guys?
thing, right? If you get some folks injured, it allows you to stash them on those PUP and IR designations and reserve, negotiate injury settlements and give yourself an advantage to re-sign them, et cetera. So, these injuries that might be minor with some ability to return at some point, not a bad thing. And I've been impressed by Dan Jackson. He's made some plays in the preseason as well. So again, I think our depth there is excellent. I think that Dan Jackson makes it onto the practice squad. If Khalil Dorsey's cut, he's definitely on the practice squad. And then Trevor Nowaski got dinged today. Don't know the severity of his injury. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But this is 53 deep now, right?
All right. We're done. We're going to publish this. I made a couple of calls here. I made a couple of calls. So here is our projection for the Gray Mains, and we're going to publish this to the leaderboard. And we win. No, I'm kidding. So here's our roster. Chat, let us know. If you're watching in the comments, let us know what you think at this point. Quarterbacks, Jared Goff, Josh Dobbs. Running backs, Jahmyr Gibbs, Isaiah Pacheco, Jacob Saylor, Sione Vaki. Wide receivers, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Greg Dortch, Jamison Williams, Isaac Tesla, Tay Martin, and TK85, Tom Kennedy. Tight ends, Sam Laporta, Tyler Conklin, Brock Wright, and Jackson Meeks. Tackles, Blake Miller, Larry Borum, and Panay Sewell. Guards, Tate Ratledge, Miles Frazier, Christian Mahogany. Centers, Juice Scruggs, Seth McLaughlin. Defensive ends, Ahmed Hassanin, Aiden Hutchinson, DJ Wanham, Derek Moore, Tyler Lacey. Defensive tackles, Aleem McNeil, Skylar Gilhoward, Tyleik Williams, Levi Onzarike, and Brent, you made the better argument for Ben Still. Linebackers, Jack Campbell, Devin White, Malcolm Rodriguez, Derek Barnes, and Trevor Nowaski. Cornerbacks, Ennis Rakestraw, Rock Racine, Roger McCreary, Nick Whiteside, Keith Abney, DJ Reed, and Khalil Dorsey. Safeties, Avante Maddox, Christian Zine, Chuck Clark, and Thomas Harper. And, of course, Jake Bates, Jack Fox, and Hogan Hatton fill out our special teams roster. Looks a little light in the offensive line. So, I don't know. Maybe I tweak this a little bit, take Dorsey off, and throw in a guard. And the one thing I will say here, guys, as we round third, and Marcus says we missed Travion Williams, Mike would agree with you as well, is that I think there's a guard that isn't on our team yet that will be on our roster come week 1. I do believe we need a little more depth at guard, and so when we're looking at players like Colby Sorsdal and Melvin Priestley and Mason Miller and some of these guys, is like, do we really have to have him as a backup and make our team? I feel like they kicked the tires on Laken Tomlinson and Hernandez as well, a former Cardinal. So I think it's very possible that we could be making some moves and bringing a guard in. One man's garbage is another man's treasure. I think that's
somebody's going to get cut, right?
That's right.
And one note, we were about 12 million cap space. We got about 12 million in cap space left.
Okay, all right.
So just for to your point, Chris, I think there's some money to sign somebody that might upgrade our offensive line.
Donkey Kong, we appreciate you. He says, that's a great job. Agree. TK and Dorsey will go for an offensive line and a linebacker. Guys, I know we went over. I appreciate, the chat's been great tonight. We appreciate you you joining. You joining the Brent in the Ghost Hotel and Mike, who now looks like you're in witness protection. I guess the sun went down in Grayling.
Sun went down in Grayling. Yep. Didn't turn my light on.
Good
It's
stuff.
still up here in Marquette.
Good.
Good stuff. All right, guys, we appreciate everybody who joined us in the chat tonight, as always. And if you're listening and watching or whatever on replay, go and hit subscribe, follow, whatever buttons they put in front of you. We love doing this every week, and that, of course, helps us, and it's free. So why not? You're a Lions fan. Why not get this kind of stuff each and every week? We love hanging out with each and every one of you. So, as always, before we ride off into the northern Michigan, Marquette, and Grayling sunset, we like to end the show with a hearty Go Lions!
Watch it outside left. Jameer down to the 10. Jameer to the 5. Jameer to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
And off Barry, skirts to the left side, breaks the tackle, and he will take it in. Touchdown!
Touchdown, Detroit Lions! That's what I'm talking about! It is caught! Touchdown, Detroit Lions! Amon-Ra St. Brown! A